Yes, it is. Hello, everybody. And I want to welcome you to Ho Hum to Hallelujah, 8 steps to manifest what you really want in 2023. This is session 2. I'm Matthew Ferry. I'm going to be your host. You got Kristen online as well. She's going to be the co-host. I want to start with this idea. The 8-step manifesting process is really about becoming harmonious with what you have and what you want, so that what you want starts to manifest. In other words, we actually don't have to worry about you manifesting things. We don't have to worry about it. But the worry that you have is part of what slows you down, because it causes you to be weak and it causes you to malfunction. And we know it causes you to be weak because for the last, now it's coming up on 23 years now, I have been experimenting with applied kinesiology, and I've started to have these profound realizations that the way that we think weakens us. And when we become weak, our mind starts to spiral and spin. So we don't have to worry about getting you to manifest things. You are what is being manifested. Last week, we spoke about step 1. And step 1 was very simply ask. Set your intention. And that's about 90% of the manifesting process, believe it or not. Last 10% is really about creating conditions for what you want to have happen in reality. Now, setting the conditions is like gardening, right? You don't know why your plants grow. You just create the proper conditions, and then sort of nature takes care of the rest. Well, you don't have to learn how to attract things and manifest things. Manifesting is an emergence. Manifesting is nature. The things that you want are essentially the creative force emerging. You are nature. Nature is creating. You are what is being created. God, when you get that, like when that locks in, that you are nature creating, and the creations that you want are just creation creating, mind-blowing what happens. So your new ideas, your new realities, your new this and new that, all these new ideas, it's all just the emerging from the background field of energy and information. We don't know what it is exactly, but it appears to be pervasive throughout the entire universe. You are the things that you want, and the things that you want are you. You are the background field of energy and information. You are an expression of that energy and information emerging. What you want wants you. What you want wants you. What you want is you. It's always going your way, even when it's not going your way. It's always going your way. Even when you don't think it's going your way, it's still going your way at that time. It's just that sometimes you got to take a big left turn to get around something to get what you want. Kristen and I just went through a 10-year period. And there were so many times during this 10-year period, from the time that I got divorced and my ex-wife was suing me, and we were going through this, big, crazy process, to like reinventing myself and climbing out of all of this debt and all these so many crazy, hardcore things. So many times we would look at each other and be like, really? Like, this is the shit that we need to be going through right now? And then ultimately we'd be like, well, apparently. And then it would click us right back in again. It clicked us back into a good state. Did we go into shitty, crappy, negative, angry, frustrated states? Hell yeah. I'm human. Hi. I'd like to welcome you to being a human being. You have a survival system that freaks out about shit on the regular basis. The game for you is to continue to contextualize in such a way that you start to calm down. And you surrender. You surrender to the timelines. Write this down. It's the first note that I'd like you to take today. We're going to do a bunch today, okay? So write down this idea. There are no bad intentions, just bad deadlines. There are no bad intentions, just bad deadlines. So many of the things that Kristen and I wrote down 10 years ago are happening now. But I want you to know that 3 years after we set the intention that they hadn't manifested, we were pretty pissed off about it. And then we had to get ourselves under control and wrangle the mind and get ourselves back into a good spot and trust that it's always going our way, even when it's not. There are no bad intentions. There's just bad deadlines. You are impatient, and that's okay. You just work on your patience, because as you become more patient, you can become more diligent. So let me review the 8 steps, because we're going to jump into number 2 today. So the 8 steps are: 1, set your intention. 2, keep doing what you're doing and start giving the gift. 3, let go of needing to know how it's going to all come about. 4, start telling people. 5, connect deeply with people, step over no one. 6, learn to play the perfect game. 7, ride the waves. And then 8, just be open to what actually comes, because you always get something better than what you could have expected. It's just never exactly what you expect. Now, each time I'm going to review one of these steps. So like every time we get together, this is week 2 of 8, I'm going to review one of the steps, and then I'm going to give you exercises and things to integrate it into your daily life. But what you should know is, like, just being on the call is enough. Just listening, like if you didn't make the call and you listen to it later, that's enough. We're going to recontextualize. Remember that the rapid enlightenment process has 4 components. First, you have to see the drunk monkey, and that it talks whether you want it to or not, and that the drunk monkey is not your friend. Then you learn about all these opposing intentions, these instincts that you have, which are called the hidden motives to survive. Then you learn about the enlightened perspectives, which are just perspectives that muscle test strong. They make you strong, and they assume that all is well. And then the 4th thing is to learn how to recontextualize things so that you can assume that all is well. Because when you assume that all is well, the best version of you comes out. You're energized, you're creative, you're empowered, etc. And we're going to do that over and over and over during these 8 weeks. We're going to work on recontextualization and enlightened perspectives nonstop. Then we're going to get the drunk monkey to quiet down, and we're going to reduce some of the impact of the hidden motives. The results? Profound. I mean, some people's stuff is going to go bonkers in these 8 weeks. Other people, it's going to be like what I was talking about, where like 10 years ago, Kristen and I set some intentions, and we've been cruising along, and it's just been like 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, 0.04, right? But then all of a sudden it starts to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like we're starting to go exponential. The results are going to be profound. Whether they happen during these 8 weeks or over the next 8 years, we don't know. But I will tell you that profound for one person might be a butterfly, right? The other person, it might be some crazy opportunity falls in your lap. For everybody, it's a little different. It really depends on your ability to see the world in sort of a magical, spiritual, harmonious context. Write this down for me, please. Spiritual means you are present to the unseen forces at work in your life. Now, that's not the actual meaning. This is what I'm proposing. Spiritual means that you are present to the unseen forces at work in your life. It's crazy what happens when you start to do that. Now, a spiritual person does not relate to the world the same way that a conventional person does. And I'm declaring that you're a spiritual person, and I'm going to tell you why I think that. Because a spiritual person tends to focus on developing a sense of purpose or meaning in life that's beyond the material or the external achievements. A spiritual person tends to create a connection to something larger than themselves, like a higher power or nature or universe or something. The spiritual person tends to place emphasis on personal growth, self-awareness, inner transformation. I think that's you. A spiritual person is working to be mindful, right? Like trying to figure out like what's going on in this thing up here and really cultivate a deeper sense of understanding of yourself and the world. A spiritual person tends to have openness to new experiences and new people and new ideas and new perspectives. And a spiritual person tends to be interested in developing more compassion and empathy and desire to help others. And I want you to know that that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about that compassion, that empathy, and that desire to help others because it's really powerful in the manifesting process. But in the end, I'll say it this way, that a spiritual person sees the context of the situation and doesn't get like myopically focused in the content of the situation. So write that down for me, please. Context versus content. My objective is very simple. Yes, please.
We have a question in the chat.
Yes.
Juan is curious, what do you mean that the deadlines will come when they come?
Well, what I mean by that, Juan, is I would love it. Like it would be my greatest joy if you were the ruler of the universe and you understood how everything in the universe was working and all these billions and trillions of things that are occurring, and that you could like focus them all to create the deadlines that you want. It tends to not be very realistic to think in that way. Some of the ideas that you have are right there. They're just starting to manifest. You put your attention on them, and then the drunk monkey goes in and goes, see, I am badass. Look at that. I had the idea and then it came through. But it was really just happenstance. Some of the ideas, like as you get quieter and quieter and quieter in your mind, you can see farther and farther and farther and farther out. And so some of those ideas, you get really quiet. You can see what's coming. You declare it as an intention. Now, the drunk monkey goes, I declared it as the intention. Therefore, I'm the creator. That's bullshit. You're not the creator. You're the awareness mechanism. So this thing is coming through and you see it way out there. Then what happens is you get like really uncomfortable over and over and over because it's not here yet. You can see it. It's coming. This thing that I want is coming, but it's not here yet. So while it's wonderful to set deadlines, and I highly recommend it because it creates a focal point for action, it's also important to release your deadlines and to know that not everything is going to manifest in the time that you want. So the objective here is really simple. I want to help you to develop your spirituality in a very practical manner, such that you become connected to the unseen forces at play in your own life, the forces that are creating through you, so that your wildest dreams really can come true in what you'll experience as easy, effortless, and enjoyable. So write down the idea of miracles. Just write down miracles, because I became intrigued by the word miracles when I read a book. Well, I read it a lot, actually, over and over and over. It's called Eye of the Eye by Dr. Hawkins. And Eye of the Eye, you can see my book is just trashed because I've been reading it so much, but I love it. And Eye of the Eye, Dr. Hawkins talks about miracles. And there were 2 paragraphs in there that changed my life. And I want to kind of reiterate them for you and see if we can riff on them a bit. He said that if an event occurs outside of the domain of explanation or expected linear causality and the Newtonian paradigm, it is termed a miracle. Now that's Doc Hawk. He's very academic. But basically what he's saying is if cool things happen and you don't expect it, like if it's unexpected and it's unexplainable and it's good, well, that's a miracle. Then he says, this really caught my attention. He says, it is an eventuality that is brought into actuality by the removal of the impediments of negativity. This has become a focal point of my life. A miracle is an eventuality that is brought into actuality by the removal of the impediments of my life. Will you write down this idea, the impediments of negativity? Write down negativity is the resistance that I have to how life actually is. Negativity is the resistance I have to how life actually is. Now, Doc Hawk refers to creating miracles through this idea of removing the impediments of negativity. So he says that this may involve the relinquishment of limiting belief systems such as it's impossible or it's not deserved or other ego viewpoints. And then he goes on to say, for those who have reached higher levels of consciousness, the miraculous is not only commonplace, it is the natural course of events and it becomes continuous. And I used to really be excited. I really wanted that for myself. And eventually, I noticed it was already happening. In other words, when you are high conscious, like you, your life becomes a series of miraculous events. And so you want to think about it in this way. Participating in the Ho Hum to Hallelujah process really just means that the miraculous, unexpected, unexplainable good fortune is going to slowly become your everyday experience, not because it wasn't already, it already was there. It's just that we're going to get you focused in such a way that you start to go like, oh, wow, I am already having so many good things happen. On top of that, the content that we're presenting is deliberately crafted to be very high on Dr. Hawkins' calibrated levels of consciousness. So we're going to expose you to these high levels of consciousness, which will also assist in the miracle flow to happen. I'll say it like this. You have no idea how good it's going to get. None. It's going to get so good. It's going to be ridiculous. And my intention for you is that your life gets so good that you literally burst into tears of joy on a regular basis just because you're alive. So let's talk through the 8 steps. Step 1, we talked about, ask. Then there are steps 2 through 8. That's really about getting into a flow. Steps 2 through 8 are about allowing it to happen, creating the conditions. So your task is really to enter into a state of oneness. No resistance, not pushing back on life. Your task is actually to stop making yourself and people and things wrong and bad, and that shouldn't be that way. Write this idea down. The key to manifesting is total surrender to the way things are. The key to manifesting is total surrender to the way things are. Like I said, you don't have to learn about the law of attraction. You don't have to learn how to manifest. What you want is going to be sneaking into the cracks of your awareness. It's going to be trying to get your attention like, hey, I've been trying to come through. Can you like pay attention to this over here? Because your attention to it and your actions will assist it in being birthed. What you want wants you. You are it. So let's talk about step 2 in this process. Write down for me, please. Keep doing what you're doing and start giving the gift. Keep doing what you're doing and start giving the gift. So now there are 2 parts to step 2. You keep doing what you're doing. That's one part. And then you start giving the gift. Now, you keep doing what you're doing because you're going to plow your field, you're going to plant the seeds, and then you're going to act as if it's going to happen. Manifesting is not thinking and waiting. Manifesting has a lot of action in it. So you're naturally in action every day. And most people think that you're going to go onto some mountaintop and do some meditating or something and sit around and do nothing. I just want you to know, I have tried all of that stuff. I have really, really, really gone all the way on the do nothing side of things. And what I like slowly came to the realization of is like, you know, these ideas really came from the stories of Krishna or Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad, right? It's like Jesus did 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. So, well, seems like that might be a good idea, right? You're in the desert, you're not doing anything. But, you know, we're in a different time, my friends. Things are different. Sometimes the conditions are just right and boom, what you want manifests. And sometimes it takes something, takes some optimizing. So until you find yourself in one of those very, very lucky situations where you think it and boom, it happens, and that is very lucky, you learn to create the conditions and you go with the flow and you release your resistance. So that's why step 2 is to keep doing what you're doing. You just keep doing what you're doing. You don't make it wrong. Because if you stop doing what you're doing right now, it creates breakdown. It creates fear and regret and anger and resistance. This is where you could derail your manifestations. Kristen and I did this a couple times, attempting over the last few years to reduce, bonking my microphone. When we attempted to reduce the coaching load that I was taking on, a couple times it was like we put the cart before the horse and we stopped doing what we were doing and we just like free fall, blowing things up like crazy. And in the end, it's like, no, we got to like just keep doing what we're doing, keep doing the coaching business, keep doing the mastermind business, just keep doing it every single day. We've just been slowly reducing it because we have some other goals and dreams that we're working on manifesting. But every time we would just like say, we're stopping, we're letting it go, it literally would derail us. Most of us get all excited about our new intentions. We drop everything and it screws us over. So will you write down one thing right now that you're super excited about manifesting? Write down one thing you're really, really excited about manifesting. Now that thing right there that you wrote down is only in your mind because of where you are. Your new intentions are an expression of where you are right now. You couldn't even have that new intention without being in the conditions that you're at right now. Everybody write this down. Where I am now is the stepping stone to where I want to be. Where I am now is the stepping stone to where I want to be. Therefore, where you are right now in your life, everything in your life right now is the perfect launching ground for what's coming. Here's a crude example. Doesn't quite cut it, but I think it'll help you understand. Like if you lived in government housing, it's not likely from that point you're going to be saying to yourself, I want to move from government housing to living in a giant mansion. Now, periodically people are going to say that. But from the perspective of needing government assistance, it's more likely that your true desire is to just be able to pay your rent on your own and pay it on time. And then once you're paying rent on your own and you're easily doing it, and now you might have a desire to own your own home, right? It's like this, it's like from here, this next thing is what makes sense. And then from that new perspective, you might jump from owning your own home to, hey, I want a nicer home. And from that new perspective, it's like, I want a big house. And you continue to climb and climb and climb and climb. This is how creativity works. From your new perspective, you just keep climbing the hill that's in front of you and you reach the top and you're like, oh my God, this is so great. And then you look over and you're like, oh, what about that thing over there? That's interesting. And now you're off into that new thing. And then you climb and climb and climb and you get to that new place and you're like, this is so wonderful. I love where I'm at now. And then you're like, oh, but what about that thing? And that's what you are. You are creativity creating. There's no end to it. You're never going to get there. You're never going to arrive. When you're dead, your to-do list is going to be long. Own that. Don't look at your to-do list and get mad that you haven't finished anything. Just own that I am the creative force creating. You don't fall into the category of all the people in the world who are conventional. And the reason that I know that is conventional people have no interest in manifesting. They think it's bullshit. So it's important for you to know, as a creative person, you're never going to stop. You're always going to be creating. And you're always going to be in the state where you're like aware of the next set of probabilities. Just roll with that. Enjoy the progression. Don't make yourself wrong. And don't be like just jumping immediately to something new. And just let it happen a little more organically. Keep doing what you're doing. Now, people don't become rock stars overnight. Did you know that? First, they play in their bedroom. Then they play in their garage. Then they play in their friend's house. Then they play at a club. Then they're on the radio. Then they open up for some other rock star. And then maybe they become a rock star themselves. They move up this ladder of experience, skill, expertise, desire, and exposure. So one of the keys to manifesting is setting your intention to manifest what's next and celebrating when it comes, and then manifesting what's next and then celebrating when it comes, and then manifesting what's next. Let's do something like that right now. Pick one of your three. I just said two in my fingers, but now I'm saying three. Pick one of your three intentions from our first call. Three things that you are manifesting during these 8 weeks. Pick one of them right now. Write it down or hold it in mind. Now, with that intention in mind, what would be the next step in the direction of that thing coming true? What's the very next thing? So pick one of your three intentions from the first call, and then think about, okay, well, what's next? What's the next thing that I want to manifest that will move me in the direction of this thing coming true? Here's another way to think about it. What activities or experiences would prepare you for your intention to manifest? What activities or experiences would prepare you for your intention to manifest? Then think about knowledge. What knowledge or skills or credentials will help this manifestation come about? Knowledge, skills, credentials, experience. What else would be beneficial in creating the conditions for this manifestation to occur? I remember when Roya came to me and said, I have this idea for a children's book, but I have no idea.
Is calling you.
I have no idea how to do it. And so we just started small. We just started manifesting like just the steps necessary, just like learning about it, understanding it, storytelling, then finding an artist. And then, like it just like one step at a time, just these little tiny things. Then I want you to answer this last question. What would be a victory this week from the place that you're standing right now? Like if you just keep doing what you're doing, like what would be a really cool little victory that would occur this week in the progression of manifesting this thing that you want? Write down what that victory would be. That's what you want to manifest this week. Keep doing what you're doing and start to break your manifestations down into small chunks and start to look at like, ooh, well, what's the next thing? Because we know the manifestation is likely something that it's not you yet. Because if it was you, it would just be coming. It's not you yet. So there's all these things of optimizing who you are and your environment and your network and how you operate each day that are going to bring this thing into existence. So just write down any insight that you have and put it into the chat right now. I want to hear about some of your insights. I know those insights are coming. I can tell. They're on their way. Here we go. Being able to work out all 5 days to lower blood sugar. So that's like an intention for one. I like it, a small chunk. It certainly quiets my mind when I only have to think about the next thing. Yes, Deanna. Big stuff gets built brick by brick. Yes, Jay. Having a hard time thinking of my next step to eliminating my overthinking. Aha. Very good. If that's the intention, Ali, the next step might be to take on a mindfulness practice. That will help. There's a great video that I've watched, Eckhart Tolle on YouTube, that says how to quiet your overactive mind. Give that a try. Good. Set out an hour or two every night to learn Italian. That's for Roya. Be at peace with working with someone else's team, dropping all that I'm doing in my business other than critical tasks and what I can delegate. Yeah, exactly. Then also regular and consistent exercise. Here's from Zoe. An insight from last week is that I have been holding a belief that I need to work hard to have things happen, moving from acting from anxiety to acting from excitement. Yes, very, very good. So my friends, really good. I'll read more once we continue on. Let me continue on though, okay? What you want will spring out of what you're already doing. And I know it seems totally unrelated. And I know your brain's like, there's no way that this manifestation here comes from the life that I'm living right now. And I'm telling you with 100% certainty, where you are right now is the perfect breeding ground for what you're creating, because what you're creating can only be ascertained or understood or thought about or experienced or visioned from where you are. Where you are is part of what is creating it. This condition of where you are now is part of what is creating it. What you want will spring out of where you already are. So when you continue to do what you've already been doing, while dreaming about it, pondering, getting excited about it, talking about it, trying to figure out what the perfect people are and all of that, then all of a sudden you start stumbling upon the perfect people and situations and ideas and action items. These things just start, they're all here. And you find yourself in something that Kristen and I like to be in. We call it inspired action, where you're just like, whoa, you're just like pulled forward into stuff. The worst thing that you can do is drop everything right now in favor of your new goal. Because when you do, you go into breakdowns, it slows you down, it puts you in survival mode, it stresses you out, you get frustrated, you get off track. And I will tell you right now, that will stop everything. So the question is, why do you stop doing what is already working in your life? And the answer is because you get attached to the outcome. You're afraid that what you want won't come. You're not living in this idea that it's always going my way, even when it's not. You start making what you have now, who you are now, what you're living now, wrong and bad. And while for a survival conventional person, that's really powerful, for a creative, enlightened person like yourself, it's too destructive. It actually, if we had you think about your life as bad and wrong, and we had you put your arm out, we would see that no matter how hard you tried to keep your arm up, it would go weak, because you thinking about your life in this way is weakening. It weakens you.
Will you explain when you say putting out your arm and having it go weak? You give some context to that, please.
Yeah, no problem. So there's a method that I have been studying since 1999 called applied kinesiology. And it is essentially you make a statement or you apply some stimulus, and then you test a muscle. In this case, I'm just talking about your arm. It's this muscle right here. You test a muscle and you see what happens when it is exposed to the stimulus. And so what I learned, so my mentor, Dr. Hawkins, he used it to create his PhD work on the calibrated levels of consciousness. And I studied that for years and years and years until I had a realization that really what we were talking about here was just strong and weak, that certain thoughts make people universally strong and certain thoughts make people universally weak. And when you go weak, your mind goes crazy. You start to go into stress. You start to create cortisol and stress hormones, and you begin to malfunction, essentially. So that's what I mean when I say that. So keep doing what you're doing. That's really the point. And while you are doing what you're doing, switch your focus in a totally new direction and write down for me, please, start giving the gift. Start giving the gift. This is the secret sauce right here, everybody. This is the secret sauce. I saw early on in my real estate sales coaching career that there were two different kinds of successful people. There were successful people who basically through grit and force and anger and hatred of the situation as it is right now, and I will prove everybody wrong, and you will not find out that I feel like a fraud, and they puff themselves up like giant puffer fish, and they dominate the shit out of everything. There's a lot of people who succeed in that way. And I actually tried to teach that to people. And what I found was most of the people that I taught a force, do it even though you hate it, do it out of fear and greed and anger scenario situation, I would teach them, and almost no one could make it work. A very small group could make it work. And my brain started to say, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that we would teach a way of operating that only allowed for a few people to be successful and not everybody. And so I just started observing. And what I saw was that there were two distinct kinds of people. There were people who could withstand the anger and the force and the like grit. And that's a certain kind of person. I have a lot of respect for that person. This is not me. I'm like a sensitive type. I get into force and grit things, and I can't sustain it. I fall apart. And I find that most people are the same. There's this other group that is more like lovey and kind and spiritual and flowing and it's like, you know, kumbaya. I think you kind of fit in that group. And with that group, what I found was there's a different way of operating in life that isn't greedy and fearful and wacko. It's more about being relaxed and curious and asking questions, being of service, being helpful, and really being totally detached to the outcome. So you want to think about it like this. Every person that you meet is important. Now, that's not true. But again, through my methodology, if you've read my book, Quiet Mind, Epic Life, you know that I have a whole bunch of statements that are called enlightened perspectives, and enlightened perspectives make you strong, physically strong. And the idea that every person you meet is important is a strengthening way to think about it. So not true, and also not false. There's another statement that goes true, which is that every person you meet has been sent to you. It's not true or false, but it strengthens you. And I don't know about you, but I want to be strong, but I want to be strong without being like a crazed lunatic. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I don't like working out or even straining myself, to be honest with you, if I'm just like really being straight with you about it. That's just not me. That's why I like to do yoga. And I don't even like to do hard yoga. But every person is important. Every person has been sent to you. You are in the right place at the right time all the time. That's another statement that is strengthening. You're in the right place at the right time all the time. All of your intentions will manifest through the people in your network. Every person that you meet has the potential to manifest your deepest desires, even the weirdos. And the more people you connect with, the faster your desires will manifest. I am so thankful to my father for teaching me about the law of averages. But this is not just the law of averages that's at play here. The law of averages says that the more people you talk to, the higher the probability is that you will find someone that can help you with what you want. And I know because I've trained thousands of people on sales concepts that were like that. And I saw that some people could make thousands and thousands of calls and get nowhere. And then I saw that other people could make one or two calls and get all the things that they wanted. And it was with massive repetition as a coach and a trainer that I saw something else at play. I saw three laws of momentum. The law of averages was definitely one of them. But there was also this law of harmony and this law of reciprocity. So averages, right? The more I do, the more probable it becomes. And the law of averages is really important. But it's multiplied when you add the law of harmony, which says that the more flow you have, the more probable the outcome. Now, you see professional athletes, they talk about flow all the time. I don't know if you've watched that golf show. What's that golf thing, Kristen, that we watched? Full Swing or something like that on Netflix?
Yeah, Full Swing on Netflix. It's
Full
great.
Swing. So
And we don't even play golf. That's the crazy thing. It was a great show.
But what I loved was I loved seeing these guys implement the law of averages. They would take the swings, but my God, they were so focused on the law of harmony. They wanted to get into flow. But you can multiply the power of all of this by adding the third law, which is the law of reciprocity, which is essentially you get what you put out. It's sowing and reaping, right? You get what you give. When you give, you receive, all of that stuff. But you combine these three things together, and it is redunculous, the manifesting power that starts to happen. So that's why I say give the gift. Now, in the 8-step process, step 1, you ask for what you want. Step 2, you trust. What I want is coming. It's part of my environment already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start giving the gift. Write this down, please. Start giving like you know what you want is coming. Start giving like you know what you want is coming. It's a contextual shift. Start giving like you know what you want is coming. Start giving like you already have more than enough. Like you're already in an abundant state. It's always going my way, even when it's not. Because from that abundant state, everything comes more abundantly because of who you're being. So this week, I want you to give the gift to everyone that you come in contact with. I would really love for you to read the gift ebook, which was a part of your bonuses. And feel free to share the gift ebook with as many people as you want. We want that idea to spread into the world. So here's how it works. Step 1. Step 1, write down for me, connect deeply with everyone. And then could you just please underline the word everyone, because everyone really means everyone, and it's really hard. In fact, it's so important that it's actually step 5 of the entire process to connect deeply with everyone. But step 1 is connect deeply with everyone. Step 2 is to find out what people are committed to. Find out what people are committed to. And so you'll see there's a whole bunch of ideas in the ebook that we gave you, which is, be interested and seek to understand them and find out who they are, find out what's important to them, discover their goals and dreams. Step 3 in the gift process is to make a difference for people. Make a difference. See if there's a way that you can contribute or help or serve or support, but do it in an authentic way. So I've met a lot of really famous and very, very wealthy people. I've coached some billionaires. I'm coaching a couple of billionaires right now in this moment. And what I find is people oftentimes want to contribute and make a difference for my clients, but they're doing it as a way of getting in with them. So there's like a manipulation involved. That's not contribution. That's manipulation. So as you discover what people are up to, I want you to think about these kinds of questions. And this is just right out of the ebook. So I really want you to read this. How can I serve this person? How can I help this person? What can I contribute? Is there something that I have? What can I support them with? Do I have any resources that might be helpful? Do I have an idea for them? A suggestion? Who do I know that I could refer them to? Is there a source of information that I could give them? Can I just encourage them? Can I just listen? Sometimes really just listening and accepting people, that's a big enough contribution right there. Just being interested in people is a huge contribution. So when you're being someone who's truly interested and you put your agenda on the back burner, they will feel like you're looking out for them. They will feel your genuine interest, and it creates affinity, because when you're truly interested in people, you truly like them. And most people will be blown away by that. And sometimes, not every time, sometimes they'll turn right around and they're going to ask you for your help. Like they're going to ask you not for your help, but like, what do you want? So step one is you got to be interested. Step two is to find out what they're committed to. Step three is to make a difference. And then step four is to watch the miracles happen. Will you write down for me, please? Universal reciprocity. Universal reciprocity. Some people that you contribute to, Clemen, will turn right around and they'll want to contribute to you. But that's rare, actually. What you're going to find, Juan, is that you contribute, and then it's like out of nowhere, some crazy cool thing just like drops in your lap. So step one, connect deeply with people. Step two, ask questions, be curious. Step three, contribute, make a difference. Step four, watch the miracles happen in your own life. I mean, let me ask you this question. What would be possible? What would be possible for you if you, over the next 8 weeks, added 10, 20, 30 advocates, supporters, believers, followers, advocates, supporters, believers, and followers? What would happen if you added that kind of group to your network? People who loved you, people who wanted you to do well, people who wanted you to succeed. How hard would you have to work to get your things to come true? The answer is not that hard. How hard would it be to get your ideas, your opportunities, or to find those solutions? The idea, it's not that hard when you have these people around you who are your advocates. The bottom line is this: manifesting is so easy when your network is ripe with people who are advocates, supporters, believers, and followers. We could call this the fertilizer. Keep doing what you're doing. There's no need to change things up until the perfect opportunity drops in your lap. Don't push it. Don't force it. Everybody gets stuck when they push. And when you push, it's because you believe that what you want is not coming. So you freak out. And when you believe it's not coming and you freak out, you malfunction. And when you malfunction, the things that you want don't come. And when it doesn't come, it makes you mad, and that makes you push harder, and then that makes you miserable, and then that makes you push harder. And now it's like an uphill battle, and then you start to lose faith, and then you start to get mad, and then you get depressed, and then you get anxiety, and then you get anger. And if you just keep doing what you're doing and start giving the gift, you will be blown away by what comes. Now, if you get off track, what I do when I get off track, I just get back into gratitude. Gratitude, experience, manifestation, my gems. I just start doing my gems. And that helps me to kind of like reel back some of my angst. Stay in the flow. Trust that all is well. Trust that everything that you want is coming. Know that you are blessed and that your thoughts become things. And in the meantime, fill your karmic piggy bank by giving the gift to everyone you come in contact with. Build your advocates, supporters, believers, and followers. And I promise you, everything else will take care of itself. Some of you know one of my top students now has become a leader in his own right by a mile. His name is Thach Nguyen. And Thach, back in the day, was the push and force grind guy. And when we started to turn him in a new direction of just being the guy who made a difference for people, who wanted to be a connector, who wanted to essentially be like a do-gooder in the environment, when he did that, now everything comes to him because he's created the conditions for the fertile ground to come. Remember, from a mindset of lack, not enough, or scarcity, you're actually closed and you will not receive what you desire because people are going to give it to you and then you won't be able to see it because you're too balled up in all of your shit. What you desire will come. And it'll come when you are totally open and free. So step one, you ask. Step two, you keep doing what you're doing and you start giving the gift. You connect deeply with people. You are curious. You find out, what do they do? Where do they go? What do they want? What is fun for them? How do they like to spend their time? What are they thinking about? What are they dreaming about? You just ask questions like crazy. You just really want to know. And you're just looking for those places where you can authentically contribute in a way that doesn't take anything away from you. It is actually mutually uplifting for both of you. And then be ready, because people are going to want to know what you're up to, and you need to be able to tell them what you're manifesting. It is only from this state of appreciation that you will be open to receive what is coming your way. And you blow it when you're stressed out, freaked out, mad, and angry. And by the way, when you're stressed out, freaked out, mad, and angry, all that fertilizer that you've planted with those amazing advocates, supporters, believers, and followers, they move away from, they don't want to be a part of that. They don't trust it. What you're going after is a thriving game, not a survival game. So let me give you the suggestions that I have for your homework this week. And then I want to open up to questions, concerns, comments, thoughts, hallucinations, excitement, emotional overload, all that kind of stuff. Let me just put it into the chat for you right now. And then if Tristan, you could put it into the group me, because you always do that for me and I appreciate it. That would be awesome. So step one, write your gems daily. Just keep doing it. Step two, I would write down all the miracles that happen to you on a daily basis, big or small. Just start journaling. Keep track of this stuff. It's going to help you to increase your belief in your faith. If you want to inspire others, start reporting some of your miracles in Group Me. We've been seeing some of the blue butterflies and the miracles that are happening. Keep it up. Inspire us, please. Keep manifesting small things. What if this week you manifested a purple elephant? Can we just close our eyes right now? Purple elephant. Can everybody see it? Purple elephant. Review the Clear Your Energy for Attraction checklist daily. Clear your energy for attraction. Read the gift ebook, share it with your friends so that they get on board. And then if it was me, I would give the gift to at least one person per day. When Kristen and I met, she was having a catastrophic business failure. This was 2008, just post 2008. And she was in the middle of losing everything. And I told her the way out is to give the gift every day. And I don't know, what were you giving the gift to? At least 5 people per day, Kristen, at that time? I can't remember.
Yeah, 5 or 10, something like that. I'm an overachiever.
She went for it big time. And by the way, in that process, she ended up getting connected to one of the guys who is now one of our great friends and clients. His name is Jay Miller. Wave your hand, Jay, so we can see you. I don't know if you guys can see Jay over there, but hey, Jay. So, Jay came from giving the gift. And if you're feeling stuck, reach out to the group, get on Group Me, and I promise you, people will be right there to lift you up. Okay, so I want to open up to questions, concerns, comments, thoughts. Why don't you raise your hand, or you can throw it in chat if you don't want to appear on camera, whatever works for you. You guys are over here for me, so I'm looking on my other screen.
So Zoe has a question that she popped in here just a moment ago that she's hoping that you would speak to, that sometimes she feels overwhelmed by having so many connections, and wanted to get your feedback on that, as you're suggesting that we all go out and connect with everyone.
Yeah, I'm suggesting that you just connect with one person per day and that you don't worry about all the connections that you do have. I would say that the connections that you make via social media, probably fractions of a percent of the impact of actually having a conversation with people. So consider reaching out and talking to people, on Zoom or on the phone or whatever. I think you're going to have a better time. And then it's okay to ignore almost everyone else.
And let me jump in with this one too. So Zoe, one of the things that I experience is that I'm really energetically sensitive to people. And so sometimes I have to be mindful to energetically just disconnect. So my style of contributing to people often, if I don't have a chance to go deep with them, is to simply listen. And I really do live by this idea that just simply acknowledging people and listening with really intentionally listening to them, even if it's in the grocery line, is actually a contribution. And so for me, what I have found is that I like to fly underneath the radar. So there are times where I don't really want to engage. I want to be in like a quiet place, or more of a, I don't want to say sheltered, but sort of like my own zone. And this idea of going outward feels unsettling. And so what I will do in those times is just do a simple contribution by hearing people out in a casual environment, and then not feeling like I need to go like all the way. So I don't know if that helps you at all, but for me, I have found that sometimes I'm not in a space where I can deeply connect. And so I use the gift in that sort of modified way.
Yep. Really, really good. Yep. And she said, thank you. Very helpful. Being present.
Being present. That was the term I was looking for. You nailed it. That's exactly right.
Nailed it. Good. Questions, thoughts, concerns, help, support. Jump in, Sherry.
Matt, at the beginning, you gave us eight steps. I missed 2, 3, 5, and 6. Can you repeat those?
Sure thing. Yeah. So you're going to, step 1 is to ask.
No, step 1 was set the intention. And then this was at the very beginning.
She's talking about the entire 8-step process.
Yeah, no problem. Let me just put it in the thing right now. Hold on.
Okay, perfect. You're wonderful.
Copying now and putting it on in. Paste. Shaboomba. There it is.
Thank you.
All right, good. Help, support, questions, thoughts. And David, I think you have your hand raised. Just jump in, bud.
Okay, so I had a question on, so last week we wrote down the 3 biggest intentions that we had. I was wondering, like in our manifestation journey, like, should we focus on one thing at a time? Like, I have something like, that's like more abstract, which is like really wanting to meet a solid partner, to find love. And then the other one is like wanting to build a second business or a new cash flow. And sometimes it just feels like doesn't really go hand in hand. And I don't know, if you could just, if you have
And then what's the third one?
I don't even remember. The third one.
Pull it up. Let's see.
The third one was exploring the world.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to propose that all 3 of those intentions are perfectly married. Finding a partner, exploring the world, and finding my next cash flow business. And I'm going to propose that the first thing that you can do is begin your exploration, and have your exploration be, why don't you start with a 10-mile radius? So have you done all the cool, interesting, weird, awesome things in a 10-mile radius?
Probably not.
I would be willing to bet the answer is no. And then explore out from there, then go 20 miles, and then go 50 miles, and then go 100 miles. Just keep expanding out. While you're doing that, I request that you are giving the gift. When you are giving the gift to people and connecting deeply with strangers and all these people that you're meeting out there in the world as you are out exploring, I want you to just be hyper aware of the ideas and the people and the partner possibilities that start to pop up, my friend. Go explore. And as you explore, give the gift and watch what happens.
Thank you.
You betcha. Most people say, someday when I retire, then I'm going to travel. And I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but by the time most people retire, they're pretty fucking tired. And they are not as mobile as they want to be. And they are a little more cranky than they want to be. And I will say the thing to do is to actually travel now. And if you can't travel in an expensive way, then you travel in an unbelievably cheap way. I just want you to know that Kristen and I, during this 10-year period, there were times of utter financial despair that we were going through. Despair, like the debt was way up here and the bills were way up here and the income was way down here. And we just set our intention. We're gonna do luxury, amazing things for ultra cheap or free. And we did, and we found a way. By the way, I got a free timeshare during that period of time. And then that free timeshare turned into us going and traveling and finding some of the coolest resorts we'd ever been to and being there for almost nothing, being there for pennies on the dollar. So start to think outside of the box. All right.
Matthew,
Anybody else?
Matthew,
Clement.
yes, sir. To that, I've known you for so many years, since the late 90s or something like that. And one of the things, what you're saying, Matthew, that I created an affirmation or I believe when you were my coach that I travel the world. And when I wanted to go to Europe, I put everything in such a detail that everything happened. I was there for 1 month, and from then on, I can go right now. I can go any place I want to go. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I didn't do anything other than have you remember who you are.
Oh, I'm telling you, there's things that had happened in my life, from the house that we live right now, the ranch that we have, everything, wrote down everything in detail, and it's happened. So for everyone that has not been with Matthew, he is just like my son, really, because I have my children older than you. And I am so grateful to be back with you, Matthew. Thank
No
you.
kidding, Clement. So wonderful. And again, guys, I don't know why I am this way, but I am just as weird as you. I am this weird fruitcake who just knew. I just knew, like when I was a kid, I was leaving my body at 9 years old. I didn't know what it was, but I was having these experiences. All the rules are bullshit. They don't apply to me. Everything that people says is a lie. I am not going to follow any rules. None of that applies to me. And it's like that has guided me in a way that has created some amazing experiences. Has it always been good? Hell no. But it turns out that the down is so important, that the breakdown is one of the most important components of the breakthrough, and that life is going like this over and over and over and over in this waving, rebalancing mode. And just learning to be in that flow is so valuable, because down here in the lows, so many good things happen that when that high comes, it's ridiculous. It's amazing. Who else has got something for me? Okay, so Juan says, how do we learn to think bigger once you manifested your dream life or what once was? I don't think you have to worry about it, Juan. I don't think that. So first of all, if you have an intention, right? So the thing to think about is Juan just set an intention. How do I learn to think bigger? He didn't do that. That just came through him. Now all there is to do is to surrender to the idea and the investigation. The thing about a creative person is that you're an investigator. So investigate, be curious, wonder, find out, keep doing what you're doing, start giving the gift and being curious about all the people in your life. It will blow your fucking mind. It will blow the lid off of what you're doing. I can't wait to see what's going to happen this week as you start giving the gift. We are about to go into an acceleration phase, everybody. Today is my 15-year-old's birthday. Him and his buddies are waiting out there with balloons and pizza and all kinds of stuff. And Kristen and I are going to hang up and go hang out with them and do some birthday goodness. Thank you so much for being in our lives. Will you do me a favor? Will you just put an X on June 9, 10, and 11 and save those dates for me? June 9, 10, and 11. We got something really, really good coming up. We're going to make sure we tell you first, okay? June 9, 10, and 11. Just put it on your calendar just as like, I wonder what Matthew has got cooking up. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Talk to you all soon. Thanks for
Bye. Thanks,
care,
Matt.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.